al-Qaeda in Yemen, different than the Islamic State, has issued a video calling for lone wolf attacks in this country. Jonathan Halevi joins us. He's with the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs. A bit of a war, I guess, between these two factions, but both of them calling attacks on Canada.
Yes, there's no difference between ideological difference between al-Qaeda and ISIS. ISIS is offspring of al-Qaeda. It started, inside al-Qaeda and went independent. So the difference right now between the two groups, they are rivals, of course, for the supreme authority in Islam, in the Muslim world. And the difference is that ISIS has a territorial base in Syria and Iraq. ISIS established the caliphate in late June last year. And al-Qaeda is pretty much out of the game in Syria and Iraq, of course, and they have been struggling in Syria. We saw massive executions of Qaeda members by ISIS. In Yemen, the upper hand is to the side of al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda have very strong bases in Yemen. It's not equivalent to the territorial base of ISIS in Syria and Iraq, but they're well entrenched in the eastern and southern part of Yemen. Some of them, they have implemented the Sharia law. The scenario in Yemen is deteriorating, as we all know, between the civil war between the Houthis, and the Houthis, those who are the Shiites, against the Sunnis and against the central government. Because of that, the tribes in the southern parts of Yemen asked al-Qaeda to join forces together in order to fight the Shiite, the Houthi.
Overthrow the government.
Yes, but they want the militia, the Shiite militia, backed by Iran, wants to expand their territories to the south, to the rich oil districts, and more than that, to take over the Gulf of Aden, which is crucial. It's a crucial strategic area.
So this is what sounds like a civil war within Yemen. And yet why the outreach to have these lone terrorists in places like Canada?
The reason is very simple, from their own perspective. The jihad is not confined to the area of Yemen. If they want to gain more support and volunteers and money from the Muslim communities, the radicals in the Muslim communities worldwide, they must export the Islamic revolution to the West, and that's why they want to do it. We know that they are very involved in the attack in Fort Hood. They were in the attempt to blow the airliners in 2002 in Detroit, and in other parts in the U.S. and Europe. So they want to use it as a vehicle in order to attract others, volunteers from the West to Yemen.
Grab some headlines.
Headlines, of course, but it should be translated into money, into support, and into manpower.
Do you think they're providing money and support in Canada right now for these efforts?
I wouldn't exclude that, because we know that we are familiar with the system of fundraising money in the West in order to support radical and terrorist groups in the Middle East, like Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Qaeda, and also ISIS. So that's kind of a pattern of behavior is well known. So I wouldn't exclude that they are working here in communities that they think that they are supportive of their idea in order to fundraise money.
Jonathan, always scary, but thank you.